So I ended up picking up quite a bit for June, but let's talk about some of this background that you're probably not used to seeing. I'm in the process of moving. It's been quite a messy month, and it's going to be a messy month next month. So I'm not really sure when this video or when the next collection update will go up, but we are in the process of moving, so hopefully in a month or two I can have a nice solid wall of movies as my background once again. But let's just jump into everything that I've collected that I've yet to pack into a box. One of the first things I got was for my birthday from my lovely fiance Autumn. She got me Solid Metal Nightmares box set, the box set of Shin'ya Tsukamoto. Now what annoyed me was, and this has happened a few times now, we have pre-ordered a movie off of Amazon and then it doesn't ship out for like 2 or 3 weeks after the movie comes out, and that was exactly what happened with Solid Metal Nightmares and another movie later down this list. But I finally got the box set in, and it is a killer box set. Arrow crushes some of these releases, and this one's no different. It comes with 4 individual spines and 10 movies. It comes with a nice hardback book about the films and Tsukamoto himself, and a really cool irreversible poster. Now, I went through and I watched every single one of these films because I am in the process of making a huge video on this box set alone. It should be out by now, but if it's not, it should be coming here soon. I'm on the tail end of finishing the editing to it as part of recording this audio. So I hope you guys really check that out and look forward to it. There will be a link popping up at some point in time, but it is a killer box set. And this is my first introduction to Shin'ya Tsukamoto. I've never seen any of his films till now. I've always heard about him. I've always heard about some of his films, and I finally got to dive into his filmmaking, and this is an awesome box set to do it. It was really fun going from the very beginning of his career all the way up to his most recent film. And then, yes, this film set does not include every film he's made. This box set doesn't, but it includes a bunch of films. It's a really good taste for him as a director, and I would highly recommend this box set. Another big box set I got was the Sopranos Complete Collection. Now, this is a TV show I've wanted to watch for quite a while. I'm always intimidated going into big TV shows, especially ones that have a lot of episodes that are like an hour long a piece. But this is a show Autumn was like, hey, this is on Hulu, we should watch it sometime. So we started watching on Hulu, fell in love with it, watched the first season on Hulu, and then Hulu got rid of it because of HBO Max, then found out it was on Amazon Prime Video to watch, so we started watching it there. Same thing happened, we watched 2 episodes, went to HBO Max, so it was like, well, great, I guess I just got to buy it now. I bought it, and yeah, it's a really cool set. I really like the box set having every season in individual spines, but there are some really weird issues with this box set. First off, the show is phenomenal. We are on the season 5 right now, and every episode has been great. Performance-wise has been great. The writing is outstanding. I really love this show. I understand the hype around it, why everybody loves this show. It is great. I am a huge fan of mafia, crime, drama, gangster flicks, so this is right up my alley anyway, but I love the show. Issues with the box set is, for one, the subtitles hardly ever match up. It's like they took subtitles from the script and put on here, and then, you know, normally when you're shooting a scene, you're not going to follow word for word on a script normally. There'll be a little bit of improv, and that's not translated to the subtitles. We normally watch a lot of stuff with subtitles, so as we've been watching this, it's kind of funny just to see that they don't really match up very well. And there's been a few spots, and I don't know if this is like disc or whatever, I've always noticed it's on the last episode of the disc. There has been a few times where there's been like freezing, and it will catch itself back up, and we only miss normally like 30 seconds of the episode, but it's still really frustrating. But it only happens on the last episode of the discs. I can't remember exactly what discs it did it to, but it's done it 2 or 3 times now, and it's always the last episode. But still, it's a great show. It's a cool set. If you can get it for a good price, I would highly recommend it. I got to head back into Dollar Tree to pick up some dollar movies, and one of those is The Oxford Murders. This is one I really don't know anything about. It's $1 and it has Elijah Wood and John Hurt in it. So like, you sold me right there. I yet to watch this coming to this time. There's gonna be a lot of movies in this update that I didn't get around to watching because of the whole moving and everything. So it's gonna go in the box. I'll watch it someday down the road, but it does look kind of interesting after watching the trailer. I don't know how great it's gonna be. It could be kind of more middle of the road, but it's got John Hurt and Elijah Wood, and that's good enough to sell me on it, especially for $1. Every once in a while you find something at Dollar Tree that is an absolute score. I found some really cool stuff overall, but this is hands down the coolest movie I've found at a Dollar Tree, and that is Hobo with a Shotgun. I love this movie. I watched this movie a ton as a high schooler. It was everything that edgy young me wanted. It was violent, it was grotesque, it was over the top, and it was absolutely batshit crazy, and it still holds up. Hobo with a Shotgun is a great exploitative grime grindhouse style film that is just a ton of fun. And what kind of holds the whole film together is Rutger Hauer's performance as the Hobo. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but as the Hobo, he does such a great job here and honestly really elevates the film to a new level. I hope Jason Eisner continues making movies. I've not seen anything he's done in a while. Hopefully he'll come back around, and yeah, this was a killer find. I also found Outrage. This is a movie by Takashi Kitano. He's a director I've heard quite a bit about that I've never really gotten into, but it's a Yakuza film. I told you earlier I love mafia-style gangster flicks. Yakuza's no different. Love them. Love them. This is a movie that I've had on my radar for quite a while and I've just never gotten around to watching, and I found it for $1, so I'm pretty glad I picked it up. There's 2 sequels to this film. There's Beyond Outrage and Outrage Coda, I think is the newest one. So at some point in time, I definitely want to pick those up, especially if Outrage is pretty good, which I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it. Like I said, I haven't got around to watching it because of all the moving and whatnot, so hopefully in the future I can watch it when we finally get settled. But this is one that I'm pretty excited for. I grabbed Bad Milo. This is a film that I've always kind of heard about but never really had a lot of interest to watch. And I still don't have a ton of interest to watch. I'm normally not really a big fan of comedy horror movies because a lot of the time they're not very good and they're pretty underwhelming on both aspects. There are some that are great, and I really love the genre if it's done well. After watching the trailer, this is one that could go up in the air for me. It could be entertaining or it could be something that I don't like. It was $1, and it's a movie that I keep seeing around for some reason. I keep seeing the posters to it or an image from it, or I keep hearing about it. So I figured for $1 I would just go ahead and grab it, and like I said, once I get settled, hopefully I'll give it a watch. And the last thing that I picked up at the Dollar Tree was 10,000 BC from Roland Emmerich. This movie, to me, I don't remember much of it. I remember watching it one night on, like, I can't remember what TV channel, but on basic cable with a buddy, and we never got to see this in theaters, so we were watching it that night, and we were laughing hysterically at it because it was so bad, it was so stupid, it was just funny. But I don't remember a lot. I remember one scene in particular where, like, one of the slaves is getting whipped, and just the reaction of the slave and how bad the direction was. I remember we just kept laughing because it was just, the scene was kind of idiotic in general, and it shouldn't be. A scene like that should be really intense and heartfelt, and I just remember laughing at it because it was done so poorly. So I found this for $1 at Dollar Tree, and I grabbed it. I'll watch it again at some point. I hope it lives up to my expectation as one of those films that's so bad it's good, but I don't know. After watching the trailer though, I was like, I don't remember a lot of this in the movie. So maybe it's one of those things where the trailer had a lot more footage than the movie did. I don't know. It's very lowly rated on IMDb, so at some point I'll rewatch it and we'll see if it goes up there with the so bad it's good. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. This one kind of hurts my soul that I didn't get to watch it before this update, but I picked up Tokyo Godfathers, the new release of it by G-Kids. This is a movie that's been on my watch radar for a long time, and I knew it was getting a re-release, and I didn't expect to come across it at Walmart, but I did, and I immediately grabbed it and bought it. But like I said, unfortunately with the whole move and everything, we just haven't got around to watching it. So again, hopefully when we get moved, this is going to be one of them that's really going to be at the top of my list to watch when we do get moved. It's something, like I said, I've had on my radar for a long time. It looks great. The director of this film has done Perfect Blue and Paprika, both 2 films that I've had on my watch radar for a really long time. So I'm really excited to check out Tokyo Godfathers, and hopefully I will here soon. I got the Scream Factory edition of Idle Hands. This is actually my second copy because the first copy I also ordered a board game, and they shipped them together, and the board game just destroyed the slipcase. And if you know a lot about Scream Factory, them slipcases are kind of the go-to. So this is the return copy that I got after I returned the other one, and I grabbed this because this is a movie that Autumn has always really liked. I always thought it was pretty decent, and it was a cool looking addition from Scream Factory. After rewatching the film, it totally holds up. When I talked earlier about Bad Milo, that comedy horror can be really hit or miss, this is a film to me that kind of hits because it doesn't linger so much on the comedy aspect as it is kind of just a fun horror movie in general. It handles the horror elements pretty well while also being absurd and kind of comical. I was actually surprised how well this film does hold up. Yes, there are some bad scenes of CGI, but for the most part the effects look pretty good in a kind of cheesy, fun way. Like I said, I was surprised how much I enjoyed this rewatching it. It's one one I could definitely see myself throwing on seasonally every once in a while. Scream Factory did a great job with it. I talked last month about a Casey Affleck movie called Light of My Life, and I compared it to a companion piece with A Ghost Story, and I picked up A Ghost Story this month. A Ghost Story I've seen way before Light of My Life, but it's a movie that I've had in my Amazon cart on and off for a long time, and I finally just pulled the trigger because I had to order some stuff from Amazon, so I was just like, whatever, I'll go ahead and get it. This is a movie that really kind of messed with me in my head after watching it. I do think there are some issues with the film. For one, I think the beginning of the film has a lot of pacing issues, but once the film kind of finds its footing and starts to tell the story it's telling, I think the film takes off, and it takes off phenomenally. I think it's a film that just about everybody would have a different reaction to. I think it really comes down to individual interpretation of this film, and for me it was a really haunting film about not letting go of the past and just how you don't, it kind of consumes you through your life, and it really kind of messed with me in my head. It presents a lot of cool themes here, it's shot beautifully, has a great soundtrack, and all the performances across the board are really good. Yes, I do think there are some issues with pacing, and I do think there are some scenes that could be cut down to help with some of the pacing issues, but I still think this is a pretty phenomenal film overall. I would probably say is almost a must watch at least once. So I picked up Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is a movie from my childhood that I love. This was on sale for like $5.99 I think on Amazon. So I went ahead and ordered it because honestly it's a movie that I've been thinking about here recently wanting to rewatch. Me and Autumn's been going through rewatching some of these old Disney movies and seeing how they hold up. And this is one that I've kind of always been like, I wonder how that would hold up. And it holds up great. This is a really fun movie. It holds up really well, but it doesn't hold up at the same time because there's a lot of things here that I think would be considered kind of controversial in today's age, with especially some of the more misogynistic tones and things throughout this movie. But it's still a really fun movie. The animation blending with real life still looks really good in this movie. I was kind of curious to see how it would hold up all these years later, and it still totally works. It looks fine. It looks honestly believable, and that's just crazy to me that it does. It's really nice too to see a movie kind of blending both Warner Brothers and Disney characters all into one. I mean, I think this is still the only film that's ever done it, but to, rewatch it, it just brought back a lot of memories, and I think it holds up as a really fun detective noir story with some great characters and some really funny moments. So I grabbed Gone with the Wind and the shit storm that was this movie. Basically, I guess HBO got rid of it, and then people started buying it out like crazy, thinking it was going to be banned or thrown away forever. I personally don't believe that film should ever be discarded. Even films with a lot of racist overtones or even undertones, I think should be preserved. It's like a history book, man. Gone with the Wind's no different. It's one of the most culturally impactful films of all time. It's one of the highest grossing, or could be considered the highest grossing movie of all time. Its impact on cinema is beyond measurable. Not saying I'm a huge fan of it, but it has a cultural impact and significance in the film world. And people are going nuts about this thing going away, so I found a copy at Walmart for really cheap, decided to grab it and keep it because even though it's not a film that I really love, in case this would happen, I don't believe it would, but just in case this movie would get banned, discarded, or whatever, I own a copy of it now. And honestly, it's one of those movies where it's like, even though I'm not a fan, it's so culturally impactful and kind of important in cinema that I kind of feel like I need to own it. Now, I haven't watched this since like high school for Film in America, but I remember not caring much for it then. It's a nearly 4-hour movie, so I don't have any plans to sit down and rewatch it anytime soon, but maybe one day I'll sit down and rewatch it. I still don't think I'm going to be a huge fan of it, but you never know. Go buy a copy from Walmart. If they got them, buy them. That's all I got to say. So with Who Framed Roger Rabbit for $5.99, I also picked up Jaws for the same price. Honestly, I don't know why I haven't picked this up before. Maybe it's because I've never been a huge fan of this film. We did rewatch it because it's on my scratch off list, and after rewatching it, it holds up. It's pretty good. It's not a movie though that I am like just in love with or blown away with. I think it's good. It has some good moments, it has some good characters, and it was kind of revolutionary for the time. It got away with doing a lot of cool stuff, but it's not a movie like I'm gonna pop in frequently. Yes, I would watch it every once in a while, but like I said, it's not a movie that I'm like obsessed with or in love with. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a masterpiece. Alright, so I'm gonna start something new. Once a month, I'm going to pick one title from the entire update, and I'm going to recommend like that is the movie of the month kind of thing. You know, like a staff pick. And this month would be One Cut of the Dead. This movie is fantastic. This is one that I ordered 2 weeks earlier on Amazon and then got it 6 weeks after it like released. That may be a little bit over exaggeration, but yeah, it's one of the ones that I had the same issue with Solid Metal Nightmares. But this film is phenomenal. I was completely blown away by this film. I would highly recommend this film. This to me is a 10 out of 10, and I don't want to talk about the movie because the movie is so much better if you go in blind. And then it's even better after you watch the movie and you know what's happening. So like, it's mind-blowing the first viewing, and then it's even kind of more stunning the second viewing. This is a horror comedy that works on every level possible. It is such a cool idea. It is so well made. It is great, like I said, on every level. I loved this movie. It was a movie like, going into it, I'll tell you the concept of the movie going into it. It's about a movie production team who is making a zombie film when a real zombie outbreak happens. And it's the second half of the film is just beyond mind-blowing. I don't know how else to say it. I love this movie. This movie is phenomenal. Highly, highly, highly recommend it, especially if you have any interest in filmmaking or like horror comedies at all. This movie is highly for you. This is such a good movie. I hope you check it out, and I hope you like it as much as I do. I ended up grabbing the Steelbook to Train to Busan. This is a movie I've really liked that I've wanted to grab for some time and just never have. I decided to go ahead and pick it up because me and my buddies normally get together at some point to watch movies, and I thought this would be a really fun one to co-head with 28 Days Later, and we just haven't got around to doing that yet at this time, and I don't know when we will because of the whole moving thing. But this is a really, really good Korean zombie flick. I definitely think is worth checking out if you're a fan of zombie movies. It's intense, it's fast-paced, it has some humor to it, it has great characters, has great set pieces. It's just a really good solid zombie flick that's kind of earned the reputation it's gotten. So another Steelbook that I got, I should mention that One Cut of the Dead was a Steelbook, but I also got Tigers Are Not Afraid. This is a really cool Spanish horror film that I had my eye on for quite a while. When the Steelbook was announced, I was like, I'm gonna pre-order it, and then I was like, I'll wait. Then it sold out and they were going for like 40-50 bucks. I was like, shit, I should have just jumped on it. I should have just ordered it when I had the chance to. They got them back in stock. I just went ahead and ordered one just in case, and after watching it, it's a pretty good movie. Honestly, it blends a lot of horror and fantasy elements together really well, but it's a film that I think you're better off going into kind of blind. I don't know how much this film would hold up on a second viewing. The first viewing was really cool to see the story unfold. I would definitely recommend this film if you're a fan of anything Guillermo del Toro's ever touched. It kind of has a lot of his influence thrown throughout this film, and considering that he really loved it, I can see why. But overall, it's a really solid film with some really cool ideas that is in a really cool steelbook. So this next stack of stuff is all coming from a buddy I picked up off him that he was going to sell. And one of those is Metropolis from 1927. This is the movie that I've always wanted to watch because it has some really cool imagery to it. But with it being a silent film that's 2.5 hours long, it's a little intimidating to try to jump into. I've watched a good handful of silent films in the past, but they're normally a little bit shorter. So one that's kind of this lengthy, like I said, I'm a little intimidated to jump into. I have the animated version by Osamu Tezuka. Probably pronouncing names wrong, I apologize. But I have the animated version, and now I have the silent original version, so I would like to check them out at some point. I got it for a good price, so thanks, my dude. Up next is a big stack of Ingmar Bergman movies. I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right because of my hillbilly mushmouth, but this is a director my friend has been trying to turn me on to for a really long time. He bought the big Criterion box set, so he was selling off his individual copies, and I was like, hey man, I want those. So I bought them off of him, and I haven't yet to watch them. I'm planning a big Bergman video, so hopefully at some point in time, I don't know when, especially with the whole moving and everything, but I'm hoping at some point in time I can release a really cool big video on Bergman, checking out all these films that I've collected of his over the time, and Autumn Sonata is one of them. I guess I should say the title we're talking about. This is one, I believe this is one of them that my friend said is like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, but I've heard great things about basically every movie this dude's done, so I'm pretty excited to check him out. I definitely think after watching some of the trailers, this is probably toward the bottom of my list of excitement, but with his glowing review, if this is the same one I'm thinking of, then it should be pretty good. Another Bergman movie is Summer Interlude. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. This is one that I didn't even know existed until I saw that he was selling it, so I don't have a lot to say. I don't know a lot about Bergman. I'm excited to watch these movies I've got of him to see whether if he's a director that I'm really gonna love. My buddy, like I said, is like obsessed with the dude, so I have pretty high expectations. This is one that I would say out of all of them that I own is probably my least anticipated, but who knows, maybe it'll be great. The Seventh Seal, another Bergman movie that honestly is one of them I'm most excited to watch. Just the stills and some of the production that I've seen of it just looks great on the visual aspect. I've heard a lot of great things about this, that this movie is phenomenal, so I'm really excited to check it out. I wish I had more to say about these Bergman movies, I really do, but I don't for right now because I don't know a lot about them. I haven't watched them, so like I don't have a lot to say about these movies. I think this one looks great, even if it wasn't connected to Bergman or my buddy telling me that I need to check this director out. This is one that I'd still probably grab just based off of some of the production stills. Now, The Magician is one that I'm actually really excited for. This is a movie that I did not know was from Bergman. I remember always seeing the cover of this on Criterion and thinking, this just looks cool on the artwork alone. Like, I would totally buy this just based off the cover. And so this is one I'm pretty excited for. And after watching the trailer to it, it definitely looks like one that's going to be more up my alley. That is something that I'm going to be really excited to watch. It seems kind of a little bit more odd and bizarre. So I'm hoping that's what this film will give me. Like I said, I wish I had more to say about these movies, but I don't. So we're just going to keep moving along to the last movie. Now, when it comes to Bergman, the two films I hear the most about is The Seventh Seal and Persona. These are two movies that I've heard a lot about, even without it being connected to really knowing who Bergman was at the time. So this is one that my expectations are pretty high. Like I said, I wish I had more to say about these films, but I don't. Watching the trailer to it, it looks pretty good. That's like all I can say. Like, I'm excited to sit down and go through these. I'm excited to make a big video about these movies and this director, but like until then, I just feel like I don't have much to say about them. But I do want to thank my buddy for selling me these. I'm really excited to finally check these out and own them. He gave me a pretty good deal on them, so I really appreciate that as well. So thanks, my dude. But yeah, that's been the update. That's been everything I grabbed in June. Now, I'm lying a little bit because I have grabbed some stuff at the tail end of June that I'm going to use for July's video because we're moving. So I already have this stuff recorded. So I was like, I guess those would just be a part of July's video. So in July, you'll see some things I picked up in June because I'm a liar. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hopefully we can get all settled by the end of June. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll see you guys probably in August with another update. I hope you guys check out some of the videos I will try to release in between. And I will see you guys later. Stay safe.